So as you can tell, today we are looking at the NZXT H1. Now it's been out for a while. This is the second iteration of this case. There was one with a few problems that have been addressed since. But I wanted to look at this because I've not actually seen one in person myself. And going into the theme of the mini builds that I saw, that I mentioned if you watched the last video, this was an idea for one. Now it's currently £229 on scan, which I think is a really great price. And it's not just a case, you've actually got an AIO and a power supply in here as well as a riser card for your graphics card. So if you were to total all those things up individually, it's going to be a lot more expensive than buying this as a complete unit. So I did ask NZXT if they were still interested in promoting it, and here we are. So let's get this open and have a look. You have got a power supply and a cooler in here as well. It's already, always every time, you have got a lot more weight in here than you would if you were to just have a a normal empty case. So this weighs about 7 kilograms. Don't know what that is in pounds. I'll put it on the screen. Before you've got anything in it, so just be careful. So we have got the B760i, which I did in the last video. Scan are very kindly sent out. They're a really great UK retailer. If you're wondering about any components, if you live in the UK, they are my go-to now. And it's great to work with them as well. It's kind of come full circle from the fact that I built my first PC using their parts like 13 years ago now. So here we have the H1 itself. Like, first impressions, it's very heavy. It's very well built though. So on the top we've got a headphone and microphone combi jack, a USB-C, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2, so that's 10 gigabits per second. And you've also got two USB type A's, which are USB 3.2 Gen 1, so 5 gigabits per second, I think that is. Big old perforated mesh panel, and then you have got one side with tempered glass, and you can see through. That has got a little accessory box that we'll look at in a moment. Underneath we've got where our power is going to go in, and we've also got some of the rear I/O and where your motherboard and things will sit. So to open this, we first have to take off the tempered glass. So that's one, and then do the same on the other side with the perforated panel, done in by push pins. That bit, quite a decent chunk of material there. Now then, we'll put it back onto its feet, and now this bit can come away as well. So now you have a tent for a cat. And then inside, you've got some big old dust filters that are magnetic. Very nice. So this is, looking at this from the back side, there's a 92mm fan. I'm actually thinking if we could possibly replace the fans with some Noctuas, just to see how it improves airflow. It's a little bit more of a topic I'll talk on in a minute. On this side, we've got a 750 watt gold power supply. A little bit low for what we generally use nowadays, but that's what I'm going to talk to you about again in a little bit. Keep going round, we've got our riser cable. You can see there's got a little cover on there as well. That is a Gen 4 riser, much improved from the last generations. Also on here, there's a little lift to release, which will open up. And inside here, a little fan controller. It's a little bit difficult to see, but there's USB power, there's pump, and then you've got your CPU and then a rear fan on there, on that little panel that will then fold in. Then going around, this also has all of our power supply cables on this end as well. We've got two SATAs, and then there's three 6+2 pins for your graphics cards. Now you've got a maximum of 324mm of space for your graphics card, and that will slot into this side bit here. Now I don't have any 40 series cards, but this is a 3080 Ti from Gigabyte, and it's pretty chunky, and that will fit even with without taking the brackets off. So you can put some pretty big cards in this thing, but there is a little bit of a limitation with your processor and stuff, but which I'll talk about in a minute. So coming back to the power supply side, we've got a couple of screws to remove, which will then bring this part down, which is where you're going to find the AIO. I love how that articulates, that's very cool. But in here, you've got, of course, the pump top, which will go onto your ITX motherboard. There's some pre-applied thermal paste, and it says also to make sure the tubes are going outwards before you close, so you're not going to get those pinched. Then you can now access the additional power cable, so you've got your 24 pin for your motherboard, and there's also a 8 pin that's been run for your EPS at the bottom. Then your AIO's already been powered by the SATA that's been taken up at the top. There's a 140mm fan on there, which for today's standards is a little bit small. Glad it's not a 120, that'd be even worse. But this is where we have a little bit of a kind of choice to make. So I'm thinking for this system, being that we've got a 140, we're going to be limited on what we can do for performance. We don't want to bottleneck the CPU. We don't want to go into thermal throttling or anything like that. So I'm thinking we will try a 12400, maybe even the 13400, and see how we go. I would love to see the 13400. I think that would work really well. So she's got 10 cores on there as well. But thermal is going to be the limitation for this because we have got a smaller AIO. Graphics card, I have actually asked Intel before I started filming this if they have any ARC samples. I think an A750 or an A770 and this would really pair together well. So we shall see. I do want to have a quick look in our little accessory box while we're here, just to see what things we have in here. So we have got some front panel stuff. So this is the combi jack to a breakout cable, which is a nice thing to include. Some cases have a single jack and they don't include that, so that is a nice thing to see. Good job, NZXT. We've got some cable ties. There's what looks like some screws for maybe the power supply. Big old bag of mounting options for our CPU. It does support 1700, also AM5 as well, because it still uses the same socket as the last one. And that uses the kind of clip down pins that then pull in to screw it down. And then last but not least, you've got a power cable. Of course, will be different for whatever region you're in. So this feels like a very J's 2 cents video, the way that I've just kind of disassembled this thing and I've just got it laying down, but it is kind of getting my juices flowing on building this little system, and I'm actually really looking forward to doing this. I've always been intrigued with the H1. It's been, I don't know, I think it's where they have that AIO and the power supply already incorporated into it. And for example, if I put these pump hoses in, the way that just folds it all in like that, that's just really appealing to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the system. So let me know what you think in the comments box below. I'll add the links and everything if you want to pick one up. Currently $229 on a scan. I think on the States it is a little bit more expensive, but I think, considering you've got an AIO power supply and your case for £230, I think that's a really great price. 850, 900 is going to be my target. That's why I think ARC would work really well, just because they're so affordable, those cards, and you get good performance. Maybe up to 1,000 if we can't get an ARC, but fingers crossed we can, and we can use that, you know, as planned. But I'm looking forward to this, guys. I hope you are too. Get subscribed and ding the bell so you don't miss this stuff when it goes live. I'll add all the product links and things in the description box if you want to pick one up. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one.